Hello everyone, this is Steven from the Even Steven channel, and today we're talking about is this even on properly? The Glock 17 Gen 5 MOS. What do you got here? Let's open the box. So the Glock 17 is basically a 9mm striker fired full-size duty gun, possibly. We'll take a check there. We're going to go through the Glock 17. We're going to talk about it, tell you what I like, what I don't like. Yeah, here we go. So open up the box. You see we got, gun comes with 1, 2, 3 magazines, which is a decent touch because sometimes you only get 1 or 2. So having 3, I really think 3 is the minimum, the minimum. 3 magazines, a little magazine loader, which is nice because these particular magazines are a little hard to load. Some literature here. Didn't seem to want to come out. Like a pull-through rod, cleaning brush. That's nice. And also in the box that I just didn't have in the box at the time, we have back straps. This one comes with 2. Comes with the one that's already on the gun. There's one on here right now, and one other one. You know, a little demerit there. My Glock 19 came with 4 back straps. 2 of them had that little beaver tail extensions. 2 of them didn't. And on this Glock 17, you only get the ones with the little beaver tail extension. You know, a little demerit there. Also in the box, I don't know how this all fit in here. We had a trigger lock, a gun lock, and the optics plates. So we're going to put most of that aside for now. Let's see. Put that over there. Put these over here. And this gun over here. So let's talk about it. Let's see what we got here. I'll put the name first. The Glock. Little scratch there? Nope, actually. Glock. Name of the manufacturer. Model 17. That's their model number. Gen 5. That's the 5th major iteration. Made in Austria. 9x19, so 9mm Luger. And this is the MOS variant, which is actually not labeled on the slide, or really anywhere else on the gun, I believe. It simply means it's the version that is cut for optics. So we're going to go through this gun bottom to top like I normally do. We'll start with the magazines. So these are the Gen 5 magazines, which means that the magazines have a little more of a lip on here. I'm going to try not to talk too much about my Glock 19. I'm trying not to compare it to my Glock 19, which I have. And I'm going to try not to compare it too much to the previous generations of Glock. However, these are the Gen 5 Glock magazines with a little bit of lip on it. And even inside that 5th generation, that 5th major iteration of the gun, there was an earlier version that had a little cut here. And the lip was thought of a good idea to kind of pull the magazines out if you ever got stuck in there. However, since they got rid of that, that would actually make it a little bit harder. You can still grab it like that. You can still grab it, come around, still grab it like this, and yank those magazines out. A little harder though. The Gen 5 magazines, I think the Gen 5 started with this orange follower, which is nice because that helps you tell when the gun is empty or there's no ammo in the magazine. That helps. Now I said these magazines are hard to load. That is because unfortunately I live in New Jersey, and I'm restricted to 10-round low-capacity magazines, and I guess that makes the magazines a little harder to load than normal. Standard capacity is 17 rounds. Let's move on to the grip. Now, I have I think this is the medium-sized backstrap. Is it labeled? No. I think this one says 2. It's hard to see through the plastic. I think this one says 2. I'm assuming this one says 1. And what you do is to take the back straps on and off, is it kind of hooks on the bottom here, kind of hooks in there, and then you pin it here. And using this, what I assume is the medium back strap, it kind of gives it a feel more along the lines of the Generation 3 Glocks, how I had that size of a grip. The texturing on here is pretty good. I like the texturing. I'm going to hold this left-handed because it's a little more conducive to the way I'm standing behind the camera. The texturing is pretty good. All around, nice, good. I think it's called the RT. This might be referred to as the RTF texturing if Glock hasn't changed their nomenclature. There's a little bit of a flare here on the bottom, a little bit of magazine flare to help insert magazines. It does help a little bit. Magazine release is reversible. It's pretty big. Sometimes I have a little bit of trouble actuating that. Like I'm pushing down now, and I'm pushing down, and it's not. There we go. Sometimes you have to push down a little bit harder than maybe you think you should to activate that magazine release, but it's doable. Sometimes I gotta shift my grip just a little bit to get in there, but it's not too bad. Let's see, let's go up. Slide serrations in the rear and the front. A little interesting that the slide serrations are kind of identical. Usually you have a little more, less pronounced slide serrations in the front, a little shorter in the front, and usually a little longer in the back. Glock has just made them pretty much identical. Interesting choice. We have a slide release on this side, slide release on that side. Nice. These sights are not the standard Glock sights. Over time, I've gotten less tolerant of the Glock sights. They are plastic. They are known to break sometimes. And in fact, when I bought this gun, I purchased it from my local gun store. They pulled out a box and they started doing the paperwork, and I realized that the front sight had been broken. The front sight broke during shipping, and I said, "Hey, this sight's broken." And they're like, "Oh, we'll get you another one." So I actually had to get another one, and I did the paperwork on another one. So I've gone ahead and replaced these with True Glow brand night sights. And for one of two reasons. First of all, they're a little more durable. And second of all, I feel the Gen 5 sights shoot low. I saw it on my Glock 19, and I saw it on this gun. So it's a pattern. If it's just one gun, all right. But it had what's called a combat hold, or where you have to put your front sight directly on top of the target instead of putting the front sight below the target, and I don't care for that. So the True Glow night sights, in my opinion, were an upgrade. And I have a separate video on these sights because I put them on my Glock 19. Got trigger guard, trigger. The trigger is, let me see, trigger is, let's find out. Trigger is okay, like a standard Striker Fire trigger. Not particularly great, not particularly horrible either. One thing I don't care about on Glocks is that and I said this before, is that the trigger safety. So this is a drop safety. This is its primary purpose. Is a drop safety. Now, yes, it does have a secondary function that if you pull on the side, it won't go. But this is first and foremost a drop safety. That if you drop the gun, it's not going to go off. The trigger safety here, the drop safety here, is not fully flush with the gun when you press it. It just comes out just a little bit, and I would prefer if that was just flush. Now there, of course, are aftermarket parts you can put in there to fix that or adjust that, but I prefer from the factory this trigger safety was flush with the rest of the gun, with the rest of the trigger. I think this is a 4 1/4 inch barrel on the Glock 17. I don't believe it's a 4 1/2 inch barrel. I believe it's a 4 1/4 inch barrel. And like I mentioned, this is the plate for the optics mount. You know, to take these screws off, put whatever plate you want on here. It comes with 4. Actually, that's pretty nice. Comes with 4. Put the plate on, put the optic you want on top, and secure it, and it should be fine to go. I have used it on my Glock 19. I haven't used it on this particular gun. I'm sure that works fine. So I've been kind of putting off making this video because I don't have a lot of really complimentary things to say about the Glock 17. It was kind of a gun that I was kind of avoiding making a video about, even though I've had it for about a year. And the reason why I haven't been showing this video earlier, because I'm not as excited about it. You know, I have my Glock 19 video, and you know I think that still holds up. But I got this Glock 17, and honestly, out of the box, it wasn't all that reliable. It wasn't, and that's kind of Glock's forte. That's kind of their selling point. That, you know, above all else, you know, Glock, the ergonomics aren't perfect. You know, the grip angle is kind of a sharper angle than most people are accustomed to, and you kind of have to rotate your hand down a little bit. But most people get used to it. I've gotten used to it. It's not the prettiest gun. I think the removal of the finger grooves is a really good addition, so ergonomically the thing has gotten better. Some people say that the trigger on the Glocks have gotten better, maybe a little bit. But out of the box, this really wasn't all that reliable, and then the malfunction I was getting was failures to feed. That slide would go back and kind of just get hung up, just not quite all the way in. Was this a deal breaker? Well, at first when I got it, it would happen a lot, multiple times per magazine. And I wasn't quite sure what to do with the gun, so I just kept shooting it and shooting it and shooting it. And as I shot it, more and more and more, it happened less and less and less. So after about 300 rounds, the problem kind of went away. And now I consider this gun reliable enough for me to use. But I have other guns. I like to shoot a bunch of different guns. So I'm not going to sink 300 rounds of 9mm to this gun right away just to make sure it was working properly. I would go shoot my Mechanic or my Beretta PX4, and this would kind of just hang around and not get used all that much. So I finally got around to putting enough rounds through it that I am confident it's broken in and I could use it more. But you know, there's a long time where it's kind of just sat. I've had this gun for about a year now, and it kind of just sat there. Now I don't know if there was some quality issues, quality control issues that. Yeah, this is one to stay. Some quality control issues at Glock. I bought it about a year ago, so that's 2022. That's during the pandemic, and maybe Glock's quality control slipped a little bit. However, it doesn't look bad. It seems like it's put together pretty well. Finish looks all good. Looks like a Glock. But like I said, out of the box, it wasn't very reliable, and that's kind of Glock's selling point. I think the recoil is fine. It's kind of forgettable, honestly. Sometimes I think about the recoil on guns, like, I don't remember how that shot. It's a lighter striker fire gun. I think it's what are Glocks? Typically 26 ounces, 24 ounces. I don't know. You can look that up. It's a polymer frame 9mm striker fired handgun. Those tend to have just a tad bit more snap than some other guns. Heavier metal frame guns. But I thought the recoil was average. Reliability took 300 rounds to get there, but honestly, I'll say the accuracy was pretty good, and I just have some targets. This is one I probably did like 6 months ago. It says Glock 17. What we got? 7 yards. So this is with the stock sights. 7. It's getting a little faded here. This is 10. This is 15. Should all be 5-shot groups. 20. Okay. And 25. Hey, no, not bad for 25 yards standing unsupported, says me, with standard Glock sights. And this is more recently. This is like a week ago with the True Glow sights. I kind of waited until the gun was a little more reliable, a little more broken, and I kind of waited until I got the True Glow sights on here. So this is 7 yards, a little tighter. 10 yards, a little tighter still. That's actually I see that's 25 yards. So I'm slightly off to the right. However, if I could just shift this all over a few inches, that wouldn't be a bad 25 yard target. 15 and 20. Actually, that 20 yard target's pretty good. So the accuracy is there. I guess the reliability is there now. But whenever you get a gun that really needs to be broken and that's not reliable out of the box, there's always that thought in the back of your head that it's not going to work right when you need it to. So the reliability seems to be there now. The accuracy was pretty much always there, to be honest. And I do enjoy shooting it. It's not a terrible gun. It's not a terrible gun. Initial reliability aside, after 300 rounds or so, it does seem to have worked itself out, and it's okay. So what would a gun like this be good for? And I think, similar to my last video video I recently did on the Beretta PX4 Storm, anything you would need a full-size duty gun, something you put in a holster, home defense, range gun, production level competition gun. anything, especially if you put a little optic on there, anything you would use a full-size duty gun for. Again, home protection, home defense, home protection, range use, entry-level competition use. Would I consider this a carry gun? No, I would carry something small. Like I would carry, actually, this I was looking at like something like a Glock 42, or Glock 42, Glock 43, Smith & Wesson Shield, something of those size, something that's just a little bit thinner. This isn't an overly thick gun. It's probably thinner than my Beretta PX4, but it's still like, what is that, 1.1, 1.2 inches. But I look at the Glock 17, which doesn't want to level properly on here, and I think about all the other guns that have come out recently. Things like the Canik Mate and the Canik Rival, and the Walther PDP. And I think about how Glock seems to be not as innovative as it once was. In fact, I don't know if Glock was ever really all that innovative. And I look at these companies putting out these new guns, and I was like, well, Glock's like, all right, we got. If you pay extra, we'll give you a optics cut. This is like a $650 gun, possibly $700 where you are. And for $600 to $700, you can get, like, again, a Walther PDP, you can get a Canik Rival. And how can I say that those guns are not better or equally good? I did my video on the Canik SFX, which is a $500 gun, which also had reliability problems initially, and also maybe a little hesitant, but so did the Glock. And the Canik SFX came with a lot of features, came with a lot of stuff in that box. It was pretty feature rich, and it gave you a lot of extras. And the Glock one, I mean, you got two back straps, and you got the plate. And so, can I recommend the Glock 17? Yes, it's fine. It's a Glock. I'm sure I just had a little, a little fluke there. I'm sure most people's guns are fine. However, I do think all the Glocks Gen 5 shoot low, which is a problem. But, the sights, for a long time people have been complaining about the sights. And there are guns that kind of are better values than the Glock 17. So yeah, I can recommend it, but when you look around at everything that is available, it's like, you're eating a cheeseburger, and you really like that cheeseburger, and you look around, everyone else is eating a steak. And they pay the same price. So while I can recommend the Glock 17 for the intended purposes that I have laid out, there are a lot of guns that do a lot of things for the same amount of money. Even something like my Beretta PX4 Storm, which I recently did a video on. Would I prefer a Beretta PX4 Storm to the Glock 17? Yeah, probably. Actually, I really like this gun. I'm just weird like that sometimes. I like weird guns, and the PX4 Storm kind of fits that bill. But if I had to choose between my Glock 17 and my PX4 Storm, I'd probably choose the PX4 Storm. That's just me. This feels better in my hand, honestly. Ergonomically, this feels better in my hand. So I think that's just about do it. I don't think I have much to add to that. The Glock 17 is fine, but when you look around at all the other guns and all the value they give you, is the Glock 17 really the latest and greatest at $650, where all the other guns today, some of them you have for less and do pretty much the same things, like the IW Masada. Guns that I honestly have not shot, but I look at them like, wow, those guns look pretty good. And there's the Glock kind of resting on its laurels, and like, I don't know. So I think we're going to cut it here. I think I'm a little bit ranting and raving. Glock 17 Gen 5 MOS, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure I just got a fluke that had to shoot enough to break it in and work it in. And I'm sure that 99 people out of 100 are going to have zero problems. So this is it from the Even Steven channel. Please do all that like, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, and goodbye.